Welcome to the Build It Better podcast, powered by FrameCAD. I'm your host, Robert Johnson, and today we are going to continue our discussion with Bradley Cooper and Rodger Ford of Frame Up Now. So join us for part two as we talk about all things Frame Up Now and cold form steel. The most of the early adopters, as a matter of fact, I'm going to say 90% of the early adopters with this type of roll forming technology, whether it be FrameCAD or Howick or whoever, were in the commercial world. They were already traditional commercial framing drywall companies, and they were using them to do mid-rise, multi-story, and flyby panels, pre-finished panels.
Correct.
And so the piece that has brought up the rear has been residential. Nobody's been focusing on it. And you try to get into it. There's some of these little SFR and BTR communities that are doing it, and some of them are doing them out of light gauge steel. But yeah, it was mostly a commercial end of it. So let me ask you this. We've talked about distributors. How does a distributor get into this? What are they going to do? What's it going to take for them? How are they going to become successful?
Well, probably, we don't know. Mm-hmm. Time will tell that the distributor of the future is the small to medium-sized home builder today that builds out of wood. Mm-hmm. Now that distributor that builds that home builder that builds out of wood better make the transition, or they'll be left behind.
Yeah, it is going to change.
It will.
So they need to future-proof their business.
There's the phrase that I love.
So they future-proof their business by getting started with metal, but you can't just go say, I want to be in the metal business. You have to have the technology that supports you. So here's what we have that can help them. One, we have a huge offering of homes ready to build. We can ship metal panels anywhere. And we designed those, and so our design center that's gotten better and better and better can design all the homes for the builder that wants to transition from wood to metal. That's the beginning. And we can help that distributor by training them in our shop, and they can come down and run our equipment with us, and we'll manufacture the panels and the trusses. Then they can go to the site and put them up. So they end up with the technology, but we're still talking about the technical part of the business and not the business side.
Right.
So they need financing. It's going to cost a couple machines plus some trucks and trailers and some other things and some working capital.
They may have some of that stuff already, but yeah, clearly they're getting into the manufacturing business.
So how do you finance it? Well, there's now a company. They're in Holland. They're the biggest finance company in the world. Her name is DLL. And they serve the world. They don't just serve Holland or America. They serve the world. So this financing system that we and FrameCAD will put in place helps those dealers get started.
Yeah.
Helps them set up their plant and equipment. In addition to that, our design center can design their plans for them as necessary. And it costs a distributor zero to get in business with us, accept the training fee. That's it.
That's it. You're exactly.
That's it. And someone orders a plan online, we ship it to them. We keep 15 cents, and they get 85 cents, and that gets them started.
So, I don't want to take away that DIYer in Wisconsin / Minnesota / anywhere. And I was being facetious earlier when I said, how do we do this? And it's going to cost $1 billion. I want our listeners and viewers to understand it's not expensive to ship a home across the country. We're talking you can do it with a 35-foot trailer or 30-foot trailer and, a pickup truck. I mean, for years, the boat trailer manufacturers, there's people all over this country that manufacture things and ship them across with trailers. It's not expensive. And with the savings that you're getting in the labor and you doing it yourself and all of the expertise that comes with that, the DIYer is really the biggest winner in this thing, because let's think about that. Tiny homes took off, and it was like everybody was doing a tiny home because they could do the work themselves. All they had to do was buy a trailer. Well, those tiny home people could now build their single-family residence and their neighbors and the one down the street or whoever else they want to do it with. So I would digress a little bit and say that that DIYer is really the biggest winner in this piece by being able to reach out and take advantage of these designs.
Robert, did you know that Brad and I took a trip around the world in in April and May, right? April and May.
I want to say that maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
The reason we did that is we thought we were getting pretty good at what we do, but then we said, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So we went to Australia, New Zealand, and I went on to India and Africa, and then we wound up with visiting some cold form steel framing companies on the East Coast of America. Out of that came the consolidation of the knowledge that we found from all these spots.
Definitely.
And it's made a difference in manufacturing. Oh, yeah. Right, Brad?
Oh, huge.
Shipping,
huge
stacking.
Yeah.
Oh, so you since you brought it up, so I just recently, probably 6 weeks ago, I made the journey and spent 3 or 4 days in Australia and touring some of the fabricators and framers, and then in New Zealand for 2.5, 3 weeks. Yeah. By the time going through Australia, so I come from, my background as a construction guy and a frame CAD manufacturer. So I go into these places and, I'm expecting these, because for those of us here, you see on LinkedIn, you see on social media, you think everything in Australia is being built out of steel. It's like, man, everything's, and you get there and find out they only have 10% of the market, And then you get in, their factories are small. They're not these big grand things with gantry cranes rolling all over the place. They're there, don't get me wrong. And they're running 1 and 2 types of equipment, mostly one. And they're doing everything. So I'm going through the yard and looking at pieces and parts, and I see trusses stacked in this one manufacturer's lot. And I walked up, got to looking at them, looked at the guy I was with and said, how come we can't build trusses like that in North America? And they went, you can. I'm like, we can.
We do.
I was like, what do we need to do? And they go, design them correctly.
Right.
That's right.
And I said, everybody in the States thinks that that's a tool. You got to have a tool to do that with in your equipment. And they're like, no, your equipment comes with the tool. That's all done in design. That's not done on the machine. So you're right. The things that you learn, seeing the way that they're picking up and flying panels and stacks of panels and things. I'm sure you saw some of this stuff. It was like, well, how come I didn't think of that? Well, yeah, they've been doing it for years.
Right.
We learned it, and by the time we got back, we had 72 pages of documentation.
Oh, I don't doubt it at all. It's when you really get out there and you start, I guess the plus is those early adopters. Those early adopters had to figure everything out for themselves. That's no secret in this industry. It was, hey, you got to figure out how to price it. You got to figure out, where the savings come. You got to figure out how to sell it. You have to, all that. What I have seen in the industry is the early adopters typically don't want to share because I had to figure it out on my own. I'm not going to teach you how to do it. Well, we're getting to the place now that it's becoming more common. Common is a great term, Brad. It's becoming more common, and people are leaving places of employment and going other places, and that knowledge is starting to spread. Again, this wave continues to build. Those people like Frame Up Now and others are way ahead of that curve and can actually bring people along with them now.
That's right.
Robert, we're designed to share.
That's exactly where I was getting at.
We're designed to share. Mm-hmm. So
the strength is in the share.
Yeah,
correct.
So the very basic start of any business is to get the business systems right so you can build 1,000 more just like it. Exactly. And I'm not talking about 1,000 more homes just like it. I'm talking about 1,000 more businesses just like it. So the intelligence can be distributed throughout the world. Mm-hmm. And so we're designed to do that. And our distributor system, because we want to avoid being a franchisor.
Sure.
I've been a franchisor twice in my life. I don't want to be that again.
You've learned something, right?
Yeah.
So a distributor gets an opportunity to do everything we do. And if they don't do enough of it, we'll just appoint another distributor.
Exactly.
That's it. So we'll help them be really successful.
Right.
And if they lean on their shovel, we'll find someone else that doesn't.
Which is such a novel concept. I have people that say to me all the time, so do you give territories? So surely you guys have territories. You only have so many in a territory, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, why?
If you have the gumption and want to get out there and get it, great for you. If you want to put it in your garage and let it gather dust, that's on you too.
That's right.
You just
Except you can't be a distributor anymore if you do that, because we want the success of them and us.
There's my point. That's what I was getting at. If you want to get at it and be successful, then this relationship is a great relationship to get into. If you don't, then somebody else is going to.
Somebody else will.
Take over.
Yeah, absolutely somebody else will. So what have I not asked either one of you? Or Brad, what's something that you would want to share that we haven't talked about yet?
Oh, I don't know. I guess we touched a little bit about going over to Australia and New Zealand, about learning the processes over there. In the facility down where we are, we're kind of secluded down there, and there's no others there. So the learning curve going over there was really beneficial as far as learning to package and distribute, and which is and also manufacture. They had a lot of manufacturing techniques that were pretty interesting.
Yeah,
which has now spread through our facility, which is what we will be now spreading through all the new distributors that we can bring on, just as a learning tool for everybody. We just want to spread it on.
Yeah, and one of the things they're talking about being in Australia that I saw in every one of the shops that I went into was a bank of designers. Okay? You get out here and you're like, so here's my factory and here's this, and okay, well, who does your design? Well, we've got this person that sits in this corner back here with no light, and they've learned. It all starts in the design. So they've got this bank of designers and all these people around. That's the design's the win. The design's the roadblock in North America.
Well, and it becomes really, really expensive for them to do just what you described.
It does.
Because you can't have enough of them. And if you do have enough of them, you don't have enough repetition for them to stay good at their game, because it wanes and waxes. Look at NFL football today. They used to have a big roster. It's been reduced, and when they go into the season, they'll have 53 guys on the field. And that's often not enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're exactly right.
You got to have a big enough bench so you can assure an outcome at a moment's notice. So what we've done is build a big bench.
That's the key.
More important, a wonderful playbook with all the specifications that keeps evolving every time we learn something new, provided it should be repeated. And that playbook, the specifications, along with our cluster of really good designers, ends up to be available to us and anyone else that needs a design now.
Yeah.
Because the customer doesn't want to wait. Come on.
The society we live in is very instant gratification. Yeah, it's like, listen, I want to build a house, and I want it to be standing in 3 days,
Yeah, right.
That's the benefit of Napkin CAD.
That is the benefit of Napkin CAD. Matter of fact, it could even be imagination CAD for all we call it. It's if you can think it, we can build it for you.
That's right.
So what about you? What's something that I haven't mentioned or we haven't discussed that you want to talk about before we finish up here in a minute?
Oh,
I got you, didn't I?
Yeah.
That's
I
kind of
did
unusual.
get you. Yeah, it is unusual. We covered things like, and I'll give you a chance to think about that. The differences in framing with wood and steel, and we talked about how many times do you drive by these multi-level buildings that are out being framed, these multifamily places, and it's lumber that's out we are now in monsoon season here in beautiful Arizona, getting rain every evening. And these, not only has the lumber been stacked for weeks on end all around there, and what wasn't stolen has gone back to Mother Nature and is now, you can build canoes out of it. And
That's true.
to be able to get into it, to be able to stand in a hallway or stand in a corner or stand outside and eyeball a wall and that thing be so true, for construction people, it's just,
the ease
my
of
goodness.
your pickup in the houses is so much better.
trim looks better.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is better.
Your drywall is better. You can do smooth drywall now.
Oh, you
without
do a
problem.
nice level 5 finish of
That's
smooth
right.
wall in
That's
place.
right.
Look great.
You seldom see that unless you want to pay extra money for it.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then it's got like, it's like Bondo on a car.
That's
you know,
right,
you've got 2 inches in one place and nothing in another.
That's right.
So the difficult thing we think in the future, and we're solving it right now, is converting small production builders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not talking about nationals,
Correct.
but local builders that might do 50 to 200 homes a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the challenge with that, and with any other builder, is they've done it this way for a long, long time, and to change it means a disruption in their whole system.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we've got to get started, and we're really working on getting our foot in the door with 5 or 6 builders in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
Once that happens, it'll happen many places.
Oh, that.
But I had a fortunate call yesterday, a big, well-known builder in Tucson. They've got 9 subdivisions. Hey, Rodger, I think it's time. I think you can start to help us. We have a customer. It's a $2 million home, and they want it in metal.
Insist on it.
Mm-hmm.
They won't take wood.
Yeah.
So what do you need? I said, we don't need much. Told them what we needed in terms of a floor plan and elevations and so forth. Well, we can give you more than that. And I said, okay. And we'll get back to you. And I could give them a quote instantly because I know the factors. Tell them what's going to cost before they even give me a plan.
Oh, we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah. So, well, you asked me to say something.
Oh, it's fantastic. Oh,
Right.
no, that made me think about it. I was like, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, great.
So we're going to get that job.
Yeah, you are.
And it's going to be a job that I think most builders of cold form steel for residential homes that build a commercial home of 5-car garage and a 4,000-foot home, they wouldn't want to do it. It's too complex. It's not for us.
No, it's not at all. Torrey, the place I came from before joining the folks here at FrameCAD, that's what they are. That's what they've always been, has been a luxury home builder in Las Vegas. And they build $25 million, luxury homes, 100% out of steel.
Were they? That's great.
And
Red steel or cold form?
cold form steel.
Really?
That's great.
Yeah. Now, there's a one-off where you've got a big slider, that.
Oh, sure.
And maybe a second floor above it or something where there has to be a piece of structural steel.
Right.
But that makes me jump to this other thing. We're seeing this not only in the commercial world and now the big push going into the residential world, but in the industrial world and in mixed-use developments. We designed a building in Las Vegas, mixed-use. It was going to become the factory at one point, and we were bound and determined we want the whole thing out of cold form steel.
Okay.
It's going to be cold form steel. Much like you would see tilt-up construction here or anywhere else, we're going to do it all off cold form steel. Yep, we can do it. It's fantastic. Got an engineer, great engineering firm, well-known in cold form steel. Got it designed, and I look at the plans, and there's this column that runs down the center line. Here, there's this beam. And the columns were like 60 inches by 3 feet. It was like 50-something studs that were welded together.
Oh.
And I went, now, we have found something that doesn't make sense to do it out of cold form steel. It's not the end-all to everything. We're like, you can take a 4-inch piece of tube steel and put there in that column. And if you want it to look like cold form steel, wrap it in cold form steel.
Right.
But, so it can't do everything. It can do most things.
Right.
And it can do most things well.
That's
Do
right.
it very well.
Yeah, do it very well. Well, listen, this has been awesome.
So wait a minute.
Go.
You said, that gives me an idea, but you got off tangent. Did you forget what you were
Yeah, I'm an
talking
old
about?
man. I'm an old
You were
man.
we're talking about cost
Yeah, and you said...
and how you get to an instant answer on cost.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because in the lumber...
You want me to run this interview?
Let's swap chairs. You mind? So yeah, in the lumber world, you're sending plans off to a lumber yard or somebody, and they're doing a takeoff and sending you back everything. I could talk to somebody right now. We're sitting talking about it. Now, I've done enough of this. You've done enough of it. You can tell me right now how many pounds per square foot it takes to build a 2,000 square foot single family residence. So you're talking to somebody on this guy on the phone and say,
I already know the answer.
you're like, bam, bam, bam.
So if I'm off by 5% plus or minus, it doesn't matter because he needs to get rolling,
That's the point.
right? We all need velocity in these days.
Yeah.
So we can help create velocity.
Yeah.
You have more time for me?
Got it. You got 2 minutes.
Oh, come on.
No, that's it. We're gonna shut the mics off in 2
You're
minutes.
not either. Okay. So we have a big catalog system of all of our do-it-yourself designs,
Mm-hmm.
and we know a whole bunch of things about them, like 15 columns wide.
Mm-hmm.
And we know we project the cost so we can post it on the internet,
Right?
and then we design it. Now we know how much metal.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know that because we know how much metal, it replaces the cost, and we're usually within 5 or 10% either way.
Yeah, it's very close.
And once we have all that information, then we're going to end up. We have to have a large enough number.
Yep.
When we're at about 300 in there in all catalog, then we'll be able to say, what's the square foot cost of a 1,400 square foot home, either with a pitched roof or a flat roof, 1 story or 2 stories.
That's about right.
And we'll be able to say that's it.
I can do it now for mid-rise multi-story.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably could. That's right.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, well, they were like, you can't do that. There's no way you can do that. I'm like, yeah, I can if you build it like I'm thinking in my head.
Right.
Like I know the best way to do it and most cost efficient. If you build it like that, this is what it's going to cost you: $32 to $34 a square foot, whatever that is.
Right.
But if you start changing it, you want more wide open lobbies, you want all this kind of stuff, then you got a problem.
We got to engineer more of it.
That's
Right, but right now it's engineered for that number I gave you. And what's the first thing a customer asks when they go shopping for something?
What's
Oh
the
yeah,
cost?
What?
cost.
What's the price?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Unless
If
you're
you-
my wife, that comes later. She doesn't care what
She
it
doesn't
costs.
care what it costs.
Yeah,
You'll
right.
pay for it.
You can get a new one.
A new wife or a new cost? Okay.
So the first thing a customer asks is that question. But if you can answer that question, then that customer frees up their mind to talk about everything else.
Yeah, you've already gotten past the biggest hurdle.
That's right.
Yeah, and if it's too much, they tell you it's too much.
That's right.
Right.
But you know.
That's right. Right off the bat. So you don't waste your time.
Yep.
I want to get to a quick yes or no. So
And
as a customer,
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And if it's not right for them, it's not right for them. It's
Right.
not right for everybody. But I think it's right for most.
I do too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
Okay. Can I stop now?
No.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
You have enjoyed this, and I have too.
Yeah.
We're going to have you come back. We will certainly have you come back. Not going to be soon because I can only take so much of you. But see, the problem is
I gotta write this.
I know no, and I can see the wheels turning, and I know I'm going to get it back. It may be off air, but I'm going to get it back.
That's right.
No, man, thank you very much, Brad. I appreciate
it's good.
you coming up from Tucson. You had a little traffic. I apologize. Wasn't my fault. I didn't set it up ahead of time. But man, so glad. Next time
Yeah, we
I'll come
enjoyed it.
down and we'll do this, and we'll do it in your.
That's all right.
Okay.
We don't
Again.
mind coming.
That'd be good. Either way.
It gives us a chance to visit side by side for
Oh,
a
sure.
couple, for
That's
4
right.
hours.
Uninterrupted time.
That's
right.
Yeah, yeah. I get
It's
it.
good for us.
Awesome. Thanks, gentlemen. I always end it this way. We've all of us have built it the old way. Now let's go build it better. See you
Very
next
good.
time.